Hello, 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 everyone. How's it going? And I'm back actually. Hope you all had a nice break. Let me have some music in the background. Seems too silent, right? Whole background sounds too silent. Okay, so hey, hi, hello, hi. So good to be back. I had my lunch. Hope you all had your lunch, dinner, just some snacks. You stretched around, and now we are going to continue. Okay, so let's wait for like 1 more minute, let people join, and then we can continue from what we had initially, which wasn't much. Okay, uh sorry, I was just like opening a bunch of other things that we are going to use. So we are going to use Seaborn, Plotly, and everything, blah blah blah, which is why I opened them. uh Okay, so before going on break, okay, connection error. Let me see what's happening right here. Oops, app has stopped. Okay, stream let run main.py. Let it run. Let it open. And yep, that's open. Let's reload it. So before going on break, we had something like this, right? Yep, there we have it. And it just didn't make sense. But there was one thing that I wanted to, show you. That was like how many companies does this plot? Like df underscore sorted dot head. And as you can see, we actually got like 5 companies. So it plots 5 companies. But if you give it like 20, okay, and rerun the file, then logically or ideally it should plot like 20, right? And then it plots something. This is so weird. These overlaps. uh doesn't look nice, doesn't look good. But let's fix it. We'll fix bunch of things. We'll fix so many issues that exist right now in this. But uh let's take one step at a time. Okay, uh let me go out of your hair so you can focus directly on this, and let's continue building this. Perfect. Yep, round 2 begins. Okay, so how are we supposed to resolve it? Step 1, we first need to go over our data, and we need to update our data in such a way that it understands that, like, the trillion, or if let's say if I go, we already have a data table, right? So that trillion is bigger than billion. Kind of one, the word we are looking for is normalize the data. Okay, so we are going to normalize the data in such a way that when we use that data, or let's say pandas understands, okay, which is a bigger number, and helps us to do the plots accordingly. So moving back, I'll go over to main.py. And while like there's ton of things that I could do to resolve this, I am going to actually do the bare minimum. Sorry, do the easiest. Let's create another file here. Mm, yeah, I think another file would be good. We can call it data utils.py. Okay, data utils.py. Inside data utils, the first thing that I'm going to do is go over to my main.py, and you see this load and process CSV. Okay, I am going to cut it from here, come over to data utils and paste it. So load and process CSV goes into a separate file, data utils, and we will load it from there. Now there is one error here. It says, what is PD? I don't know. So let's import pandas right here. So import pandas as PD. Why am I doing that? It's good to divide your code into multiple files, uh, which make more sense, and also it removes the clutter from your main file. Now I am saying this, but we will still have some clutter by the end of 3 sessions in main.py and even in visualizations.py. So we can talk about how it could be further improved. So yeah, I just have cut the load and process CSV from main.py, and I have put it in data underscore utils.py, the new file that I've created. Now in this data frame, I am going to do one thing. I'm going to tell it to create a, or let's say overwrite a column. And which column am I going to overwrite? You see this column, market cap USD. So I'm going to say market cap USD and numerical. And that is nothing but what it is supposed to do is go over the original data, okay, the original data that is being read on line number 5. Go to that data, go to this particular column and do a dot apply. Apply what? We are going to apply a custom function there. Okay, what is that custom function going to be? Let's create that. So we can say def convert to billion. Okay, so convert everything to billion. So even trillions become billions, something like that. So convert to billion. It takes a market underscore cap underscore string. Okay, so market capitalization string. It takes that. So there is a red squiggly line here. I don't know if it's like visible or not, but there are some things missing here, which we will add once we complete this particular function. So convert to billion. Now in this, we are going to first create a variable match, and we are going to use, now this is very difficult to pronounce, regex or regex. Okay, people pronounce it differently. So we are going to use the regex or regex module. You can import it as import re. So if you, I think, go over to PyPy and search for re, no, not import re, just regex, somewhere here, alternative regular expression module to standard re. I mean, if we go over to Python documentation, we'll probably find it. But for now, just like trust me on this, that there is a module, depending on how you pronounce it, regex/regex. We are going to use that, and we are going to add a regex string. Now, regex strings are difficult. Okay, why do I say it's difficult? It just looks very weird to read, but I'll try my best to explain it. Uh, a confession right here, like I did not write this string on my own. I did a Stack Overflow search for it, and I found something very similar, made some changes here and there, and got my final output. So step one, what do I want to do? So let's go over to, no, not here. Let's go over to our main Streamlit. Let's expand this. So there is every data that you see, it has a dollar sign, some numbers, dot, like the dot could be optional. What if they don't have a dot? Like there's exactly proper data there. So I can say there's like dollar sign, some numbers, a dot which could be optional, then again numbers, there's a space, and there's either a B or a T. Okay. Some of them also have some dates around it. So we need to ignore this date. So anything that comes after the B or a T should be ignored. And if I sort it, if I try and sort it, yeah, seems like this is how it is. Like your 99.73b, it seems that's the smallest value somehow alphabetically. uh, could be, could not be, I'm not too sure. We cannot take into account the alphabetical sorting here. That is just uh, that doesn't work. But let's say that most of the data looks something like this. There's nothing empty here, which is good. So let's come back. There's a question. Did you import the utils in main? Not yet, but we are supposed to. I haven't done it yet, but we are supposed to do it. So escape a dollar sign. After the dollar sign, now we are going to tell it, like we'll add a bracket. Remove this, minimize this. Need to kind of focus on this because it's just very difficult to explain in general. How do you do? First you have to check if there is numbers. So to do that, you can do a backslash d plus. D is digits. So there should be a digit, there should be digits. Could be more, one digit could be more than one digit, so that is why d plus. Backslash dot. So there could be a decimal point after x number of digits. So there could be like 3 digits and then a dot, but this dot is optional. It's quite possible that one company has like 1 trillion, like the market value, the market cap USD, the value here is exactly like $1 and then space T, right? Which basically means that there's 1 trillion. There's no scope of having decimal points in their value. So that is why it is like kind of optional. And after that, if there is, let's say that digits of, sorry, decimal point, then after that you'll have more digits. And we come out of brackets. And then we have a backslash S, okay, which says there is a space, and after the space there could be either a B or like a single pipe or T. Okay, so digits, then decimal point optional, then digits, then space, then B or T. Okay, billion or trillion. And then we pass it, like it has to search for this pattern, but search this pattern against what? Against this market cap string that comes as an input. Once that is done, so if match, will now add a condition which says if a match is found, then in that case what you have to do is value comma unit equals to match dot groups. Okay, what is match groups? It returns a tuple. A tuple is like two values, you can say. So there's match groups, and value and unit, these are two things returned. Now we first take the value and we convert it to a float. Okay, so what is a float? Floats are basically decimal point numbers. So we take the value that comes out of it and convert it to float. And now we write a return value multiplied by 1000 if unit double equals to t, else just return the value. Now what does this mean? So value comma unit, we are taking like match groups. Two things are, let's say, returned from this. One is the value which we are converting to float. Let's take the first example right here, 1.186. So $1.186. In this case it will return me 1.186 as value and t as the unit. Okay, Now we are saying that take the value and convert it to float. Remember, this was string because that's how it is being sorted. Right now, everything is a string. Uh, Everything is a string. So we are converting this to a floating point number 1.186. Then we are saying if the unit is t, multiply the value by 1000, because the assumption here is 1 trillion equals to 1000 billion. So multiply it by 1000 to make it a billion instead of having a trillion. So if the unit is trillion, multiply the value by 1000 to convert it to a billion. Else, if the value is already a billion, don't multiply it by anything, just return 100.01. Okay. Yeah, so that is what is returned. This is inside if we come outside if, what if there is no match found? Okay, if the match is not found, what to do? We'll return 0. We still return a number, an integer. So this is the convert to billion. I'm going to copy this and I am going to paste it in chat so that it's easy for everyone. At the same time, let me see if I copy this, go over to incognito, paste it right there. Has it loaded data utils? Yep, it has. So you can actually go over to this loaded file and you'll have the code right there. I think the only thing it is missing is the return 0 right now. That has not loaded. So I'll keep this open for like a couple of seconds. Let people copy that, or even you can copy it from the link that I have shared in the chat right now. It is missing line number 10. The link in the chat is missing line number 10. Please see that this return 0 is in the line of if. Okay, I can't stress on it enough. I'll also highlight it for easy understanding that what I have done, what changes have I done. Okay, and when do we include it in main? Like we will in like 2 more seconds. I still have to use it here. The convert to billion that we have written, it goes into this. Okay, so now let's use this convert to billion that we have created. So I'm going to take that and put it right here. Okay, so I have added convert to billion right there. And at the end of it, we are still returning the data frame. I can also, let me try if it works. Anyways, actually, let's leave it. Okay, so I have like the function that we wrote, convert to billion. We are passing that inside the apply. Now, if you have noticed, convert to billion takes an input. Okay, it takes this string, market cap string, as an input, but I'm not explicitly passing that in like brackets. Any reason why? Like, can you guess why am I not passing it? Okay. As function is being passed, not called. The function is being passed, but even if you're passing it, uh, it should take like what it should take the input there. It needs a input. It requires an input. How will it know how what market cap? Yes, is the apply function taking each row from the data frame? Yes, that is the reason. Okay. So the apply function, this dot apply, it works in, like, you can say, mysterious ways. So it takes every row and it actually passes it by default to the function, which is why I don't have to explicitly tell it that, pass this data. Dot apply will do it for me. Okay. So the dot apply method, you can say, it handles the iteration over each element, and it passes each element as a parameter, or as an input, or as an argument. I always get confused which is which, but it passes it as an input to the function. So that is why we don't need to explicitly tell it. Well, that completes our data underscore utils. Let's go over to our main.py and import it. So from data underscore utils, import what? We only need to import actually this load and process CSV. If there is only one thing to be imported, I don't really need to put it in brackets. Also, I'll put it before the visualizations, because this is like one import, but inside the visualizations, we'll have multiple imports. So putting it that way. So from data utils, import load and process CSV. So there's our load and process CSV, and there's this. Let's go over to our Streamlit application. Things have changed. So let's rerun it. And now if you see, there is a new column right here, market cap USD numerical. And there's no longer a dot, it's a comma. Okay. So now if I sort it, this makes much more sense. Like, did I sort it again? Yeah, 16.75 is the lowest number. 16.8, 16.84, 16.9, 17 is bigger. And the highest is like 2866, which is like Apple. Okay. So now this data makes much more sense with respect to the plotting. Okay. The market cap makes much more sense. I hope you all agree with that. Okay. There's a question here, or more like an error. In main.py, you have a in main df equals to load and process CSV companies underscore data.csv line 17, which I'm assuming is this line. So load and process CSV. Have you like imported this? I just imported it. Like, I added this line. I think it's missing that probably. Yeah. So I just imported it. So please do. Please import it. There it is. Please add that line. And that should solve the issue, it seems. Okay, so let's go over to our main.stream. So sorry. So that's our data. So we can now view the data table, and now let's move over to our visualization. Okay, so our visualization initially did not make any sense to us. So if I go over to market cap distribution right now, just doesn't make sense to me. Still doesn't make sense. So let's improve that. Also, what else should I change? Like, I also want to add the whole slider aspect, as well as uh, add a input box which allows me to exclude companies. So I'll also do that. So okay, let's come back to main.py. So sorry about this, but let's come back to main.py. And now let's do a few things. Step one, let's do a exclude underscore companies. So exclude companies variable. What am I going to do? I'm going to use Streamlit. I think there's a text box, if I'm not wrong. Oh no, text input. So st.text input, and you can see here in the example, I can type ABC and it says press enter to apply. So if I press enter, the current movie title is ABC. So that's what we can use. Is the screen stuck? I hope not. Is it stuck? Oops. Okay, right now I'm going over to Streamlit. So you should be able to see Streamlit. Okay. Okay, perfect. All good. That's relief. And now I'm coming back to our replit. So we have just written exclude companies equals to, but now what are we going to do? We are going to use the Streamlit text input box. So st dot text underscore input, and we can give it something. So we can say enter company names to exclude, and we'll also tell it comma separated. Okay, so you can enter multiple company names, but you should separate them with a comma. That is very important. Okay, so once we have asked the user for this input, the user is going to provide that input or may not provide that input, totally on the user. What if the user does not want to exclude any company? So let's create another data frame here, df underscore filtered. So this is going to be, so line number 20, this is what I'm writing, df underscore filtered. We'll create a new function. Let's create a new function. We could actually create the function anywhere we want. We can go into data utils, and inside the data utils, let's create def filter underscore data frame. Data frame. Yes. Filter underscore data frame. It takes in two inputs. Okay. The first input is the data frame actually, and the second input is going to be excluded companies. So it's going to take these two things. And first we'll check if someone has provided excluded companies, like, if that text box actually has values in it, then what are we going to do? Now this is going to be a bit tricky, so bear with me, please. We'll create a excluded exclude list. Okay, let's say what is a list? List is nothing but an array in Python. So to denote a list, you use square bracket. Now inside this square bracket, what am I going to do? Interesting. Before doing this, I should have actually shown you what the input looks like, right? So let me comment this, and if I can, st dot write exclude companies. If I put it right here, sorry, I'm doing a bunch of things. You don't have to do it. I just want to show it to you. ABC, press enter to apply. There we go. DEF. Sorry, excuse me. There we go. So exclude companies is literally what I'm typing there. So if I type double inverted comma square bracket ABC comma DEF comma GHI and hit enter, it exactly takes that string and outputs that string. Okay, so yeah, that's what I wanted to show. Like, this is what the output comes from this exclude underscore companies. So let's go back to our data utils. Now here I am going to say that, now this is confusing, but what are we going to do? Let's create a quick for loop. So for name in, for like basically each name inside this excluded underscore companies string, which we are going to first split it on what? We are going to split it on a comma. So for each name inside this string, which we are splitting over a comma, take the name variable and step one, strip out any blank spaces around it. Okay. I know it looks so confusing, but the idea is start reading from here. So for name in excluded companies, we know that excluded companies is a string. So we are going like first split that string on a comma. So what we are saying, that split it on a comma. So we will have ABC as one element, DEF is as another, double inverted comma as third element, then this whole thing as fourth element. So split it over a comma, then take out each value from that and remove the white spaces around them, if any. Like if there is any white spaces, remove that. Once you have done all of that, okay, I got a reconnecting and connected. I hope I'm still audible and visible. I think there's some internet issue. Once that is done, what you have to do is in the data frame, this input data frame that you have given, go over the company column. Okay, we know that there is a column like that. Oops, sorry, my this has stopped. So go over the company column. Once you go over that company column, check if that company name is in the like that each company name is in the exclude list, and if it is there, remove it. So by adding this tilde sign, okay, add this tilde sign which says remove it or not. Okay, so remove the company names which are given as an input. So if someone gives Apple as an input here, remove it from the output data frame. And then we have to again actually convert it to a data frame. So square bracket and DF again. So this basically says that whatever input you are getting, remove it from the column of the data frame. Which column? Company column. Remove it from there. So the removal is or not is saying, okay, kind of remove it and then convert it back to a data frame. This is what is returned. If someone has not given any input, if someone does not want to remove anything from the list of companies, then in that case just return the original DF, and this DF is in line this. Okay, there is, don't panic. Okay, don't panic about this. Let's see, has my code updated? So if I take this code, open incognito, paste it right there. Let's see what code do I have. So visualizations is fine. This has Okay, it has nearly everything except for the last line. Main.py is fine as well. Okay, so you can actually use this. Okay, don't panic. Use this exactly. Copy paste everything. I'll wait for 10 seconds for you, 10-15 seconds for you to copy paste everything in each of these files. So one in datautils.py, copy paste the whole thing in datautils.py, copy paste the whole thing in main.py, copy paste the whole thing in visualizations.py. Once you're done, just let me know in the chat. I'll wait till then. Uh, and everyone else, so sorry about this. Done? Perfect. Now, in your data_utils.py, just add this particular line, return df. It should be in the line of if. That was not in the code that I shared. Okay. Uh, yeah, in the line of if inside the filter data frame, please add this. And now let's continue. Let's go over to main.py. We had left this line number 20 in between. Okay. So let's complete this line. So df underscore filtered, like no options or no prizes for guessing what's supposed to come here. But all it needs to do is call the function that we created, which was filter data frame. So I'm going to copy the function name, come over here, paste it right here, and it takes two inputs. The first thing it takes is df, the original data frame, which is coming from line number 16. And if I hover over it, or you already know it, also needs the excluded companies as another input. Okay, so filter data frame takes these two input, but it's still giving an error. Why? Because we have not imported it. So if I go over to line number 4, from data utils import load and process csv, I can also add comma, the name of this function. Yeah, perfect. Now I can do two things here. You see st.data frame df. Just below that, I'll also do st.data frame, and we'll pass it the df underscore filtered. Let's go. Also, my server has stopped running, so I'm going to rerun the server. If your has stopped, please rerun the server, of course. So streamlit run main.py. While it runs, let me look at the questions. I heard it was not good to use from imports. Uh, I I am so sorry. I don't know the answer to that. Like, I'll have to check. Oops, what did I do? Main.py. Did I? Yeah. Oops. Reload it. And let's actually look at the answer to your question, which is, why did I do that? Not good to use from imports Python. Import star is bad. Okay, you should use name imports. If you use like import star, that means you import all the functions that are there in that particular file. Like in our data utils, we have like 3 functions, but we are only using 2 of them in main.py. So I think named imports is good. Import star is bad. Okay, so now if you look at this, so like we have two outputs here. There's ranking, like the first output is on the top, the second output is at the bottom. And if you look at it, they look exactly the same, except what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this name, paste it there, and hit enter. Look at the data frame below this one. It has removed Apple from there. I can actually give it like, let's say Saudi Arabian Oil Company. So, comma, Saudi Arabian Oil Company, hit enter. So now there's only like ranking 2, 4. It has removed the 3. Let's say in NVIDIA Corporation, hit enter. It will remove that. So a filter function is working. Okay. Okay. There's an error. Filter data frame is not defined, probably because you have not imported it. So please add this particular line. Okay, so a filter function or like filtering of data works, but there is still one issue I will say, which is if I take this Amazon.com name already has a comma in there. Okay, I have zoomed in a bit. The name of the company, Amazon.com, already has a comma and then incorporated dot, inc dot. So if I try and add that and hit enter, that will not remove this company name from our data frame. Why? Because it thinks Amazon, there is a company which is called as Amazon.com. Okay, which does not exist actually. How can we make this work? Can I add like double inverted commas around it? Will that work? Nope, doesn't seem like it. So the question is like there's also like Tesla comma inc dot, which means even this will not get filtered out of our data frame. What do we do in such cases? An easy hack would be that instead of having things comma separated, keep it like underscore separated. Like that is a hack you can do, underscore separated. And if I go over to data utils.py, instead of splitting on a comma, I can split on an underscore. So now I can go like this, and after this I can do something like this, and after this I can do something like this, remove this particular thing, it hit enter, and let's see if that works. Yep, that removed Amazon from our data frames. Okay, so we have 2, 4, 7, 8, 9. The original had like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It had Amazon on number 5, but now number 5 no longer exists. So I hope you understand what I'm doing and what this filtering is doing. That is a hack. You can use that hack. It just doesn't look good. So the homework I can say for you is, or an extra learning would be, in cases like what we saw, if we are doing comma separation and if some data already has a comma in it, what could we do? Like what are the additional things that can be done? That is what you have to find out. You don't have to give answer right now. Please find it like when you have time. I'm a little late. Apart from data underscore utils, what other changes have been made? Apart from data underscore utils, which I'll just do control Z quickly. Yeah. Apart from data underscore utils, I think we just imported that and added 2 lines here. Yep, that's it mostly. Also, I think it's too zoomed in. I'll reduce it a bit. So 150, I think that looks good enough. Okay, so DF filtered. Now, which of these charts should we put? So I will leave both the charts. Actually, I'll comment this one. We'll always show the filtered chart. How the second table was created, it's just using the streamlit method of data frame, and we are passing the df underscore filtered variable, which is basically an output that comes from filter underscore data frame function. That's how. And since we had like two st dot data frame in this if condition, inside this if condition, that is why we had two tables as output. But now I have updated the code. Let me reload this. Wait, I updated it, right? Interesting. Do I also have another st dot data frame somewhere? I deleted it. Okay, it seems like Replit is not loading properly for me. I've deleted it right now. Let's rerun this. Okay, perfect. Now it works. So the second table is nothing but the first table. The only difference is we also have this input box where we can input companies. And if we input a company name in that, like focus on this line number 3 here. If I input this particular company there, hit enter, that line number 3 vanishes. That's the only thing that we are doing. Why are we doing that? You'll understand once you see the output of the first plot, which is market cap distribution. Okay, this is still wrong. So let's go over. So like, let me share this with everyone again. Let's also check it in incognito. I think if all the code should have updated. Yes, everything has been updated. So if you are lagging behind, please ensure that you have copied all the code. And once you have done that, like let me give you like 10 seconds to do that, and then we'll move ahead and make changes in the visualizations.py file. Oh no, I removed the second table. We only have one table right now, which is st.dataframe df underscore filtered. There were two tables, but I removed one of them because it doesn't make sense to have two tables. Okay, no worries. Let's go over to visualizations.py and improve the code that we have here. Okay, because the data that was there did not make sense. So step one, uh, line number 3, we are defining this. We can also add another. Okay, let's come back to it later. So we have df underscore sorted, which was df dot sort values, and we were defining a column name. Let's go over to our data table. We know that this column market cap USD is useless because it does not work properly, but we created a new column called as market cap USD numerical, right? So I'm going to actually change this by to market cap USD numerical. Okay, that's the first change that I'm going to do. Now, the next line was top companies is how many companies we want to show at a time. So it's showing like 20 companies. That is fine. Second, the next line, line number 6 was We were creating a matplotlib figure and access using plt.subplots. Inside plt.subplots, we are not defining anything. Okay, that is fine. Next is we are creating a horizontal bar chart where we have top companies on like as a y axis and market cap USD on the x. So we are setting the label or the title, sorry, labels on both the axis. Okay, perfect. Next one is we are setting a title. So in this case, this is top 20 companies by market cap. Okay, perfect. And then we are returning the figure. Okay, cool. So that is what we have changed. The buy has been changed, and we just added some text here. And yep. So now let's go over and check if this works. Do I need to reload it? Okay, something has worked, but it still looks weird. Apple should be the biggest, like the one with the largest market cap, but somehow it is still at the bottom with nothing. Then Microsoft Corporation is like rank 2. It has like slightly less money than Apple, but it's still bigger. Mastercard in this whole list is comparatively the smallest, but that has the largest chart, like line graph here. Doesn't make sense, right? Which basically means that you need to invert this. Like anything that has a higher number should have a bigger line or the bigger bar. Anything that has less money should have a smaller bar. So let's come and do that change. So after the set title, I'm going to tell it x dot invert underscore y axis, not axis, you axios, axis. Okay, x dot invert y axis. Okay, let's go here, rerun this. Okay, so that didn't actually change it yet. So now, but now Apple is on the top. Okay, Apple is on the top, and which means okay, it should have been on top, but still this bar chart could be improved or like doesn't make sense. So invert y-axis, what it did was the company with the highest market cap should be on top. Perfect. But still, why is the bar chart so weird? ax dot invert underscore y-axis. Okay, what else? What else is missing to ensure that the output is like proper in a way? Is it because of the x value? This one? Yep. So I changed it here, but I have not changed it here. So this numerical, it also needs to come down on line number 7. Okay, nice spot. Let's come back, rerun this. Let's see. Suddenly, the whole thing makes much more sense, right? Apple Inc. highest value, and the market cap USD, I could always say market cap USD B, which means that it is in billions. Okay, so yeah, certainly it kind of makes more sense, right? Apple, it has the highest market cap, and it is near about here. Microsoft has slightly less money if we look at our data table. So 2866, 2755. So 2866 is near to 3000. So this chart now suddenly makes much more sense. And we can actually read it. But what if, okay, before moving on to that, I want to see like top 40 companies. So let's go and change this to like top 40. Reload it. This being like inside the head, I changed like the number of companies. Now suddenly this looks ugly, right? It is showing me it seems like 40 companies, but it is very ugly. So we need to increase the size of this uh, figure. Okay. So how do we do that? So what I've done is on line number 5, I tried to tell it that show me the top 40 companies. It showed me the top 40 companies, but it just looks very weird. So what can we do to increase the size? So inside this plt.subplots, what we have to do is just do fig, I think fig size equals to, let's say, 20 into 30. So this is the height. This, sorry, this is the height, this is the width. And now if I come here, rerun this, okay, much better, right? It's not exactly visible, but uh, you can see like much more spacing between the things. But the title still says it is like top 20 companies, even though we are plotting like 40 companies. So let's improve that. Like, we should do something which will make it more dynamic. So how do we make it more dynamic? Very simple. We can give a variable top n right here. Okay. So top n, and we can say the default value is going to be 20 companies. So we are giving it a variable called as top n. The default is 20. So now in this df underscore sorted dot head, or like the from the top, we'll say show the top n companies, and inside on this like line number 10, we can use the newest thing in Python, which is f strings. Wouldn't say newest, but you can put a f just before where you start the string. Okay. And wherever you want to add a variable, you can go like curly brackets and the name of the variable. So f string top n companies by market cap USD. So like in USD, would remove the B from here, let's say. Uh, in billions. Okay, now this makes much more sense. Let's reload this, rerun this. So top 20 companies in by market cap USD in billions. And these are like top 20 companies because that's the default we have passed. Also, if I remove like Apple Inc. dot from here, hit enter, does that work yet? Do you think it will? Do you think it won't? What's going to happen? Interesting. Doesn't seem to work. Why is that? Let's go back to our visualization. Main.py. It seems like we are passing it the data frame, the original data frame, instead of the filtered data frame. So I'm going to copy the filtered data frame from line 20, paste it on line 25. Okay, this is the change that I have done. Go back and reload this page. Go on market cap distribution. Apple Inc. And now let's hit enter. Interesting. It should have sorted it. What am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anything. Let's go to main.py, market cap distribution, and takes the DF filtered and pyplot fig. Probably it's again Streamlit not working, because from the code it looks like it should have worked. Let me think. Let's wait for it to like kind of load, it feels, because this, yeah, it should have worked exactly. Okay. Could you go a little back to visualizations.py? Sure. There it is. What am I doing? Yep. That's the visualizations.py. This is what we have. If I had to take a guess, I would say it is probably mostly Replit not working. Takes the DF, sorts it. Okay, that's fine. Giving it the filtered DF. If I take this, go over to view data table. Yep, that has filtered. I'm passing the same filtered data frame to market cap distribution. Okay, I'll wait for maybe Replit to load, or I'll have to reload Replit. But meanwhile, let's also add a slider. Why? Because we want someone to be able to select how many companies they want to view. So I'm going to create a variable top underscore n. That is nothing but st.slider. Okay, st.slider comes from Streamlit. So st.slider, display a slider widget, and what does it take? It takes the min value, the max value, the current value, you can say, and the step, like how may, like a jump of how much. Okay, so it takes min value, max value, the current value or the existing value, and the step. So let's provide that to it. So st.slider, select number of top companies. That's like the text that we show. The min value is going to be 10. The max value is going to be, let's say, 100. The current value is going to be 20, and a step of 10, like jump by 10 companies at a time. And now in this plot market cap distribution, I'll pass it df underscore filtered comma top underscore n. Okay. So whatever is the value of top n, that goes up to figure. And in this line, we are just plotting the figure. Yep, it seems like that is the problem. Like Replit is not loading because it is not showing the slider as well. So let me hard refresh Replit. Okay, Replit has connected. Let me run Streamlit application again. So Streamlit run main.py, hit enter. Also, let me run the web view. Okay, finally Streamlit is up and running. That means if I now reload this, that should work. Okay, let's go over to market cap distribution. Interesting. For some reason, my replit has stopped working. For you all, I think the slider should be visible. Let me know if it's not. It was st.slider. Oh, shit. The code has gone. Okay. Delete that. Thank God I copied the code before doing the reload. Okay. Formatted. Hmm. Yep, finally. There I have it. So Apple Inc. If I remove that, so and then the top one should go and like it should start from Microsoft Corporation. That's the idea. Yep. So now Microsoft Corporation is the biggest one, and Samsung Electronic comes into picture. If I also remove, let's say, comma Microsoft Corporation and hit enter, so now Johnson and Johnson comes into picture, and the list starts from Saudi Arabian Oil Company, which I think it's Saudi Aramco, probably. And I can also increase the number of companies that I want to view. So if I do like 60 companies, let's say, so that should get me the top 60 companies. Wow, my replit actually stopped working. Yep, it got killed. Am I using like too many resources? Probably. Yep, sorry about that. Like, normally it doesn't happen. I don't know. Like, what is Replit doing today? Or maybe I'm like just hogging on to the resources a lot. Yep, CPU at 100% limit, RAM at 100% limit. Yep, it got killed again. Okay, I'm using too many resources, which is why it's being a problem. So I'll try and use less resources. Mm, okay, and I'm not going to go over to 60. So you're saying even if you increase it, it does not plot it? Have you like passed the top n as an input to like line 27 as an input to this plot market cap distribution function? Please ensure that you have. Okay, let's go over to top. And okay, it has not killed my server yet. So I'll wait for it to kind of load properly. Okay, that has done. So now let me increase it to 30 companies. So it was top 20, but now I'm going top 30. Not killed it yet, which is good. Yep. And now you can see that the title says top 30 companies by market cap USD. And I can say, yeah, it looks like there's like 30 companies. If I go like 40, okay, not killed yet, which is good. Still running. Yep. This makes like, yeah, seems like 40 companies. PepsiCo Inc. Yep. So that means the slider function works, definitely. And what else could you do to improve it? You could have kind of like two sliders. One is like from rank till to rank. Like instead of top 40, I only want to print like from 40 to 60 or 40 to 80. Like, you could have that kind of configuration as well. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm not going to focus on that, but just an idea. If you want to improve this, you could also give like two input boxes where the first input box is like from and the second input box is like a to. Okay. So from this to this is what you can tell it to do. Okay. Moving on. Oh, that took too much time. Uh, let's plot another thing. Now, for the second plotting, what we are going to do is we are going to use donut chart. Okay. What donut chart? Yes, also even for the figure size, you can have like inputs for figure size. You can like anything that looks like a number here, you can actually put a fig like slider or a text box or something for it. Okay. I'll leave that to you. Uh, okay. Yeah, donut chart. Okay, so we have something called as sectors. Okay, sector is like technology and energy, and what else do we have? Communication services. Like there are multiple sectors in our data, so we want to plot a donut chart which shows uh, like which sectors are the big, like which are the top sectors, or the count of number of sectors for these 1,000 companies, if it makes sense. So distribution of companies by sector, yes, that's the best way to put it. We are going to create a donut chart to visualize the distribution of number of companies by sector. And to actually make this, we are going to use Plotly. Is it called Plotly? Yes, Plotly for sure. Uh, I have that open and I'll share the link in the chat. So the Plotly Express module is usually imported as PX. That is what we are going to use to make this donut chart. So now, actually, let me see if I, not donut, pie charts, I think, or donut charts. Okay, pie charts. So like, look at this. This is the pie chart. So the population of European continent, and you can see like for each country what's the population, and for the countries whose population is like too less, it actually shows this like a line and then percentage. Okay, so we are going to make something like this, but in a donut shape. So looks nice. Okay, so in a pie chart, if you just add this hole in the center, that becomes a donut. So how do we do that? I'll show that to you. So let's create another function for it. Of course, I just realized we have like done like 1 hour 15 minutes of the session without any break. So I'll try and go over this fast if I can. So we'll call it plot market cap distribution by sector. I think that's too big of a name. I can actually do sector wise donut chart. Perfect. What does it take as an input? It takes the data frame as an input. So step one, we need to create a count. Okay, what is count? So we need to go over our data, and we have to count how many times a particular sector has come. So like if I like double click on this technology, you can see some more technologies get selected. Let me do a control F of technology. They're like 182 technology. Like the word technology is repeated like 182 times. So inside the column of sector, how many times is technology? That is what we are going to count. Similarly, if there's, let's say, the word energy, okay, how many times is energy in this CSV data in this table, let's say. So that is why we need to count the number of times value comes in. So we can do like something like sector counts, which is a variable, and we will say in the data frame, go over the sector column. But now there is another problem. Should we provide the number of inputs, like count how many times technology is there, count how many times energy is there, count how many times X is there, Y is there, Z is there? That's too much work. So there is something called as dot value underscore counts method or function that exists on sorry, excuse me, data frame, which counts, like goes over the whole column, counts how many times something unique comes up. Okay, so if technology comes, like the first term it finds is technology, it will count how many times technology is there. Then it will find the next word, how many times that is there, next word, how many times that is there. So it gives us the output from there. Okay, from like from that directly. But when you use this, it actually makes it something called as a series. So you can think of a data frame as two-dimensional thing. It's like a table. A series is, you can think of it as a array. Okay, think of it. I'm not saying it's an array, but think of it as like one dimensional and two dimensional thing. So that is why we also need to do something called as reset index. Okay, so value counts, it will create a column where it will have the values, and it will also have the number of times it has come. Okay, it will create a kind of, let's say, a table like thing in a way. But we don't want to do that. We don't want to update our table. So you can imagine like reset index is saying thank you for counting it, but go back to what you were originally. Now what else? Now we'll say that inside this sector counts, okay, sector counts is returning, let's say, a column. So in those columns, please rename them to be more specific to like sector and number of companies. Now it does not exactly make sense. What am I doing and why am I doing it? So let me actually try and print this. Okay, sector underscore counts, and I'll comment this uh, just to show you what's happening. St is not defined, so let me import streamlit as st sector wise donut chart. uh, Please don't like follow along yet. I just want to show you what is happening and what are we like, what's the output. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just, what should I do? Not sure if this will print it, but I hope it does. So let's go over to the view table. Okay, perfect. So this is temporary. Don't copy it. This is just for understanding purpose. So the line that we wrote here, sector counts, df data frame, like go over the sector column, count the number of values, reset index, and then what does it return? It returns actually something like this. It returns like how many times a value is there. Like financials is 180 times, industrials is 139 times, technology is 131 times. Okay, so no, you don't have to do anything. Wait, this is just to show you. And if I remove this dot reset index, and if I like rerun this, as you can see, there's a sector, there's a count, there's no index right here. So I am actually telling it to reset the index. Okay, don't create the sector column as an index column, add a index column. Okay, yeah, that was just to show you. You don't have to do it. Ignore all the things that I've done. But now, with respect to this output, so you have seen what the output looks like previously. Now let's do that again. Okay, what output looks like after running that particular line. So instead of like, there was one column which was called as sector, and there was this new column that was created called as count, that I'm renaming to number of companies. That's all that I'm doing. Sector remains as it is, like it's called sector, and there's a number of companies. I'm renaming the count column to number of companies. That is what this line number 18 does. Okay, so that was just to show you. I will undo everything so that you don't have to get tensed about, okay, what did I do? You only have to focus on creating this new function and adding these two lines. And I showed you the output of what was happening and what did we do. Now let's create a new variable called as figure. Okay, so we have reset everything. We are on creating a function where we have added these two lines, and that's it. We have not done any other change. Just think about it in that perspective. Created a function, added these two lines, not done anything else. Now we are going to add the third line, fig equals to, uh, need to first import, what's it called, pyplot? No, plotly. Okay, so plotly, if you want to install it, you do pip install plotly. And to import it, we can do something like import plotly.express as px. So I'm going to just paste that line, import plotly.express as px. Now, we also need to install it. Remember what I said about installing? You can just go over to your shell, kill the shell. Let's clear it. So if you're doing it in local, you have to do pip install plotly. Also, I would suggest that you install plotly this way, like the way I'm doing it, by going over to shell and running pip install plotly. I'll also post that in the chat. Okay, so hopefully you all have installed plotly by running this. For me, it's still installing, so I'll wait for it to install. And I think after it gets installed, I'll try and quickly add the pie chart, make it a donut chart. Okay, that's going to take more time, but okay, I'll try my best. And then we'll take a quick 5-minute break, not 10. We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll come back. You know what? I think we can take the break right now because it seems to me it's going to take too much time in installation. So let's take a break right now. 5 minute break. So it's 15:25. So 15:30 GMT. 5 minutes break. Okay, let's take a 5 minute break. Let it install, and we'll be back. Okay. So 5 minutes, and we'll be back. Hello, hello, hello. Wow, 5 minutes is so short. Okay, so I just realized that as soon as I left it, it got installed successfully. So that was just so stupid. But I'm glad we had a 5 minute break. I hope you all took that 5 minutes. You had a bit of stretch. I did, definitely. Let me remove this banner and we'll continue. Okay, some chats. Uh, Jupyter Notebook supports Streamlit. Okay, does not. You have to use VS Code. Yep, you can use that or you can use Replit. Yep, that is good advice. Thank you so much. Okay, coming back. So before going on break, what we did was just run pip install plotly, which installed plotly package. And we have imported it here on line number 3 in visualizations.py as plotly.express as px. Uh, Sorry, let me get out of your hair. And okay, so now let's write the next bit of the code. Okay, we can actually, if I go to pie charts, yeah, we're actually going to kind of copy this px.py. Okay, that's how you define a pie chart. It takes in the data frame. Now, the data frame in our case, what is our data frame? Actually, like what is our data? Our data is nothing but this sector underscore counts. So it does not mean this data frame. We are going to plot specifically a column which is sector underscore counts. So that is our data frame in our case. Then there's a values that says tip. Okay, so if I hover over it, you can see like day and tip. Okay, and the names is day. Okay, so what is tip we don't know, but in our case our values would be number of companies and the names would be the sectors, and we can give it a title. So let's write this. So like we are going to write exactly this thing. So let me just say px.py. We are going to plot sector counts. Okay, not the whole data frame. We are going to plot the sector counts, the variable that we created. Okay, it needs to have values. So the values are going to be instead of this like number of companies like this, I can copy that. So the values would be this number of companies. uh, the names would basically be this sector. Shorten this. So names would be sector. And to make it from a pie chart to a donut chart, all you have to do is like add a hole in between, which would be like in this case, let's say 0.3. And we can also give it a title. So a title would, in our case, would be sector wise distribution of companies. Okay, and from this function we are going to return this variable on line number 19, that is fig. Also, if you notice here, they are like where you have the name of the file, next to it is a button called as format visualizations. So if I click on it, it formats it nicely, like way nicely. Okay, also I don't need this, so I'm going to remove it. So this is what we have. This is the exact function that we end up with. I'm going to paste it in chat. It will like kind of be useless when you paste it in your code because all the indentation goes away when I paste it in chat, and also it breaks on YouTube and stuff. So but still try and copy paste it. Also, let me see if I copy this, go over to incognito, paste it, has the code completed. uh what visualizations.py, it has like, okay, it has like nearly everything except for return fig. Px is not defined, so for px to be defined, you had to run pip install plotly, sorry, in your shell. So in the shell you had to run pip install plotly. Once you do that, then you have to also import it, import plotly.express as px. Oh, yep, beat me to it. But yes, so in visualizations.py on the top, you have to import plotly.express as px. So please do that. And of course, always click on this format button so that it formats it nicely. And so we are returning fig or the figure from this sector wise donut chart. So I'm going to copy this name, okay? The name of the function. I'm going to copy that. Go over to our main file. I'm also going to format main.py, okay? And you see line number 5 here from visualizations import. There was like one function that was being imported from visualizations. I'm going to import the second function that I copied, sector wise donut chart. If I click on that format again, it actually adds this much space. You don't need that space, but it's like it just comes in. Okay, so sector wise donut chart, but we are not using it right now. Also, we are not using import pandas as PD, so I can actually delete it from here. We are not using it, so let's come down. uh, Before that, what was this, like this view data table and market cap distribution? This was the radio buttons on the left hand side, right? So we need to add a new radio button. We can call this radio button as sector wise donut chart. Okay, so we can have a third button there, sector wise donut chart. I'll click on format, which will format it nicely. Now I'll come to our if elif. So after elif, I'm going to hit enter, a backspace, so that I'm in line of elif. Okay, and I'll write elif, like else if the chart underscore type double equals to this name. What is this name? This name is sector wise donut chart. If it is equal to this, in that case, what you have to do is create a variable fig which calls this particular function, sector wise donut chart function. And sector wise donut chart, if you remember, it takes the data frame as an input. In our case, what is our input data frame? Is it DF or is it DF filtered? If this would have been a class, everyone would have shouted DF filtered, but I'm assuming that everyone shouted. And yes, we passed DF underscore filtered. Yes, perfect. Love it. Now, to plot the figure, we use st.pyplot, right? I do that. Yeah, thank you. Uh, so figure goes to st.pyplot. Now let's run our Streamlit application because we had stopped it, not npm, sorry, out of habit. Streamlit run main.py. That has started. I'll also run this so that everything works. Reload this. There we have sector wise donut chart. Okay, perfect. And if I click on that and just pray that it works, which I'm sure it will, it's just like Replit is okay. Figure object has no attribute save fig. Now this is a problem. It's a problem from my end. Okay, I gave you a wrong code. What did I do here? I said st.pyplot fig. The problem is we are using Plotly. Okay, Plotly is very differently paced or like runs very differently in Streamlit. So if you want to use Plotly, instead of doing st.pyplot, you have to do st.plotly underscore chart. Okay. So we'll come back to our main.py, and right here where we do on line 32, we are doing st.pyplot. We'll do instead plotly underscore chart. Okay. That's what it was, right? Plotly underscore chart. Yep. Okay. Perfect. So now there's no longer that red squiggly line, and rerun this file, and there we have it. Okay. Really nice looking donut chart. So the point three is to add this hole in the donut chart. But look at this financials, 187 companies in financial sector, which is like 18.7% of the total. Then 13.9 in industrial sector industrials, and number of companies equals to 139, 131, 104. So really nice and everything. But I'll also show you one more thing which exists in Plotly. Uh, if I zoom in a bit, okay, zoom in the page, I click on financials, it becomes grayed out and it gets removed from this. So this is also very interactive, right? Click on industrials, gets removed. So now the overall, okay, the percentage changes. Like keep looking at this technology. It is 19.4% right now. If I remove healthcare, it becomes 23% of the total. If I click on it again, it gets batted, healthcare gets added back again. Click on industrials, gets added back again. If I remove, let's say, communication services, the whole distribution changes based on what you're plotting. Distribution changes based on what you're plotting. So I love that about Plotly. To add that kind of interactivity with Matplotlib is a pain. But with Plotly, it's way easier, and it just looks much, much, much better. Okay. And also in Plotly chart, if you like, you can also use this use container width equals to true. I think they also, yes, you can define themes as well. Okay. So if theme is Streamlit theme, this is how it looks like. And Plotly native theme, this is how it looks like. So you can also change the theming in Streamlit. You can change the theming and the use container width and everything. Also, like if you want. Uh, okay. So let me go over the chat. It seems like too many questions. Plot global warming. Okay, I think this we resolved because instead of pyplot, we had to use st.plotly underscore chart. Figure out data positional argument is dict or something like this. So yeah, there's like solution. Yep. Please add this particular line. Also ensure that you are importing it. So I'm importing sector-wise donut chart on line 4. Let me see if I share this, will it have all the code that I've written? I hope it does. Yep, it does. So let me share the link to Replit in chat. So it has all the code. So anyone who's like, if there's any error, you can just copy paste this quickly and you'll reach the same place that I am. Okay, so yeah, a nice bit of interactivity. You can download the plot as PNG, and there's this link to official Plotly documentation. Okay, now what do I want to do? Yes, if you remember, like there's like 131 companies in sector equals to technology, and it takes like 13.1%. If I remove Apple Inc., that was the name, if I remember, and hit enter, the 13.1 changes to 1, like 13%, 130 companies now. Okay. So it removes, like, our filtering still works. If we remove the companies from our total count, of course, the whole graph changes, right? So filtration is one good way to like just filter out things you don't want. And if you like remove everything and you are back to what it was. Perfect. So we have added sector-wise donut chart. We have added market cap distribution. Let's add another donut chart, which would be industry-wise. So if you remember from our data table, there was sector-wise, which is this column right here. There's also industry-wise. So let's create a donut chart for industry-wise distribution. Let's go over to visualization. And this is where things are now going to get simple and simple and simple. And it would be quicker and quicker and quicker. So I'm going to call it as industry wise donut chart. Again, it will take the data frame as input. Now, instead of creating sector counts, I'm going to create industry underscore counts. And that would, instead of counting the number of unique values in sector column, it is going to call it count it in industry column. And then we do a dot value, not value underscore counts. And then we also do the reset index, which you have seen what happens if you do it and what if happens if you don't. Once we have that, then we just are going to what do you call, rename the columns. So I'm going to copy that, paste it, dot columns equals to, the first column will be called as industry, the second column will be called as number of companies. Sounds like I'm singing, right? Fig equals to, it would be px dot py, and I'll tell it that take industry underscore counts as input. The values is nothing but this number of companies. And then the names is nothing but this industry. This time let's try to have like whole as like 0.5 or something. Like let's try it and we can see how weird it looks. And we also need to give it a title. So title equals to, that was sector wise distribution of companies. So this would be industry dash wise distribution of companies. And finally, we return the fig from this. Now I'll click on this format to format the output. Sorry, format the code. Much nicely formatted, more understandable, more readable. I'm going to copy this name, go over to main.py, and next to sector wise distribution, I'll add a comma and industry wise donut chart. And we'll also add another radio button. We'll call it industry wise donut chart. Now we'll scroll down, come on the line of this elif. So chart underscore type equals to industry wise donut chart. Like if that is the case, then fig equals to this. We'll pass it the filtered df, and then we know what to do. st dot, since this is again plotly, so then we'll do st dot plotly underscore chart, and then oops, too many brackets, fig. Okay. Oh, I added single equal to here. It would be double equal to. Uh, so if chart type double equals to or matches this particular string, then you show this. Perfect. I think that should be it. Let's rerun this. Yep. When we rerun it, industry-wise donut chart is visible. And okay. Yep. I get the joke. Okay. Loads of industries. Okay. Loads. If you scroll, you will find it like that's just too many. And I think that's where this functionality of Plotly to actually remove certain things looks more handy, right? Like it just looks like okay, in this case I can actually kind of select unselect more things. Also, do you think the size of the donut hole, if we reduce it to like zero point 0.1, would that incorporate more data? Let's try it. Doesn't look like it. It would incorporate more data on the access, but just makes the hole smaller, like more space here. So yeah, doesn't make sense, of course, but we'll keep it at let's say zero point 0.3, which looks good enough, I feel. And yeah, there's loads of industries there. Okay, but I hope like this gives you a sense of the data. So now if you're sharing this with someone, they will know that 57 companies that are in top 1000 companies, like industry wise distribution of companies, here's the title. 57 companies of the top 1000 companies work in the industry of banks regional. Okay, where do I add the radio button? I add the radio button in main.py in this chart underscore type. So let me like format it. So this is where I'm adding the radio buttons. I'll also paste that in the chat. So just under the st.title, this is where my radio buttons are. Okay. And please ensure that this name exactly matches the name that you're giving in the elif. Okay. Which actually brings me towards the end of the session. Okay. Uh, Now, before we actually end the session, homework, I would say, like, I shouldn't say that homework, but I would love to see if you can just similar to this, make a donut chart of country. Okay. So we have done it for sector, we have done it for industry. I want you to make a donut chart for country. All right. So yeah, like that way is you'll go over the code again, you'll practice it, and you'll get a sense of the data. And I think even that would be loads of countries, but would love to see the output from you all. So that is kind of my request slash suggestion. Make a country wise donut chart. Let me come back on screen. Okay. So please make a country wise donut chart. What's happening with this background? It's looking so weird. Okay. Please make a country wise donut chart, and that ways you will eventually end up writing the code again. You will know where am I putting what, where to put the radio button, where to put, like, where to import it, how to import it, where to add the condition. That would be a very good practice for you all. I'm not doing it right now, so that you get a sense of accomplishment when you do it. And how about a single page with radio buttons that allows you to select columns to plot donut charts for? Could do that. Yeah, go for it. Okay, definitely go for it. That's a good idea. That's a really nice idea right there. that there's a page where you have multiple radio buttons, but if you say radio buttons, you can select one column only. But oh, select columns to plot the donor charts. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, yeah, radio buttons for it. Sorry, I just got confused there. uh, yeah, you could do that. That's a very nice idea. It would also ensure or allow you to go over the Streamlit documentation of how to add radio buttons, how you can do that conditions, make your own function, pass the value. That's a very nice idea to do it on your own. Now, before I end this session, any questions, anyone? I'm here for like 1 or 2 more minutes. Actually, one. Any questions, anyone? We'll reconvene tomorrow again. I have another session, the part three and the final part of this session. We will go over a bunch of things. We'll also create a world map and we'll add data inside that world map. That's like the biggest highlight of tomorrow. Okay. So I hope you all are hyped up for that. Okay. No questions. I am glad. I hope you enjoyed this session and love the enthusiasm there. Okay, congratulations on definitely completing it. And yeah, that's nice. That is awesome. Okay, appreciate this. Okay, definitely appreciate it. See you all tomorrow for the third and final session of this data visualization, the whole map. What time tomorrow? Please check the schedule because I don't remember it from the top of my head. Let me quickly check it. I think 10 a.m. tomorrow. 10 a.m. UK time, GMT. It's called Data Visualization 3. I think it would be either today or tomorrow. I don't know. 10 a.m. GMT, which is like 3:30 p.m. IST. Okay. So, anyways, thank you so much. And enjoy the next session with Vinayak. Okay. Cheers, everyone. And bye bye.